Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this Design Space tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the pattern fill feature of Design Space to upload repeating patterns that you can use in your print then cut projects. And I'll also show you a second way of uploading images to use as backgrounds if it isn't a repeatable, tileable, or seamless image. For example, over here we've got this beautiful beach scene, which is not a repeating image, so you'd use the second technique for this one, whereas this one is a seamless pattern image, which means we can use the pattern fill. And that gives you awesome options when you're doing print and cut projects to create your very own background papers or patterns. This is lovely for card making and also for scrapbooking. Let's get started. There are lots of places online to download pattern files from, but one of my favourites is creativefabrica.com. I really like this because it's a membership-based website where you can sign up and pay every single month for your subscription, and that gives you access to the millions of images that are on there, including all of their patterns. They also have a huge selection of SVG files, graphics, fonts, and more. If you don't want to pay for the subscription, they do have a lot of free files on there too, but you will be a little bit more limited with what you can find. If you want to find your patterns elsewhere, that's absolutely fine. You can go ahead and find them and download them, and then just watch further on in this video for where I'll show you how to put them into Cricut Design Space. But before I jump into that, I just want to show you how you can find the pattern images on Creative Fabrica. So I'm on their homepage. And you might find that it looks a little bit different. I think they've got a little promotion going on at the moment, which is why it's got all of these green graphics. It doesn't normally have those. So don't worry if your screen looks a little bit different to mine. But what I'm going to do is go up to the top and just search for pattern and hit the search key. And this will show me all of them, 456,000. And you can scroll through them here. A way to help kind of find it a little bit easier is in the categories filter on the left-hand side. You can click backgrounds and also patterns, which there it is, I couldn't see it in there. And you could also go AI patterns if you want to see some AI ones too. That's artificial intelligence, so images that have been generated by AI. And then there are all of these different ones to choose from. So you could go through and probably spend hours searching through all of these looking for the perfect design. But if you have a particular type of pattern in mind, you can improve on your search parameters to help you find it. I love this set. That's really, really pretty. So for example, I could change my search to sunflower pattern. And then that will update to only show sunflower designs. There are two different types of pattern which you might see. The first is where it's just a standalone image, for example, a square with the graphic on. And think about this kind of like buying a pack of scrapbook paper from a craft store. So you buy the paper pack, it's got all the different designs in, and they're 12 by 12 inches normally, or 6 by 6, whatever size you buy, but you've only got that square of pattern. So it's a one-off square that doesn't tile. You couldn't put two sheets of that paper next to each other and it would look like the pattern is continuing. The other type of pattern is what's called a repeating pattern or a seamless pattern. And this is where you could put two of the squares next to each other and it would end up looking like the pattern is just continuing over both of them. And you can tile as many of those as you want to make a graphic as big as you want with as many different instances of that pattern. I will show you an example of both of those in this video. If you want to find a repeating pattern, then in your search, instead of just doing, for example, sunflower pattern, type in sunflower seamless pattern, and then you should see in the titles for the images, it now says it's seamless. So I think I'll choose this one for my seamless sunflower. That's very pretty. Download that one. And I'll also do a non-seamless one. Let's go summer background for my search on this one instead of pattern. And if you search for backgrounds, quite often they do appear more of a standalone image. And Let's go for this one. Boho Shells Beach. These are really, really pretty. And I'll download those. You'll probably find that the downloads come in a zip folder. You'll need to unzip this before you can upload the images into Cricut Design Space. On a Mac, you can simply double-click, but on a Windows computer, you will right-click and press Extract All. Choose where you want to save it, and then press Extract. And that will make a second copy of the folder, only this time it doesn't have the zip down the picture, and we can look in there and it's got all of the images. Open up Cricut Design Space and start a new project. There are two different ways we can use our images. One is by setting it as a repeating pattern in Design Space as a pattern upload, and the other is by uploading it as a print and cut image, and then we can manually crop it to whatever shape or size we want. First, let's go into Upload and we'll do the pattern fill. So you see where it says here, Pattern Fill on the right. If you click on that one, you can then press Upload Pattern. Design Space has recently had a little bit of an update, so this upload process might look different to what you're used to. If yours is still showing the older version of the upload process, don't worry, it still works in pretty much exactly the same way, so you should still be able to follow along with this video. The pattern fill feature is for your seamless patterns, your repeating patterns. So that's my sunflower one. I can drag that in and it's going to upload it. And then you'll see this, it says print and cut pattern down here, and then you can give it a name if you want to. I'll just keep that as it is, and then press upload. It will then change to say pattern upload successful, but you'll notice it doesn't appear under your recent uploads. That's because pattern fills work in a slightly different way. You need to apply the pattern fill to a shape in order to use it. So if I go into shapes, and choose a heart. And then under operation, change it to a print and cut. And then you can click onto the color box and under print type, instead of saying color in this drop down, choose pattern. And this will show you lots of default Design Space patterns in there, as well as any you've uploaded previously, but you should also be able to see the one you've just uploaded. If I click that, it might take a little while to load, but then it's going to fill your shape with that repeating pattern. If I make it a little bigger, isn't that pretty? You can change how it looks by going back into it and pressing the filter to help you search, or you can edit the pattern to change what we're looking at. The scale is kind of like the zoom, so you can drag that up to make it bigger, or go smaller to fill it with more. And this is why you needed the seamless patterns or repeating patterns for this, because it means no matter how small you get it, it will tile it beautifully, so you won't see any lines where the image is being repeated. You can also change how the pattern looks by flipping it, rotating it, or changing its appearance. For example, if I type a 50 in there, you see it shifts the design a little bit. It's probably going to be more obvious if I make that bigger, go back to 0, it changes the position. When you're happy with how it's looking, you can simply close out of that box and it will update to reflect your change. Again, it might take a little while before it updates, so be patient, especially if you're on an older or slower computer. You can also use pattern fills for images from Cricut Access or SVG files. Let's take a look at that. So I could go into images and let's type in sunflower so it matches. You want to choose a nice simple image, ideally just one color, and remember that wherever it's showing the color, that's where the pattern will show. So I'll go for this sunflower and press add to canvas. I'm going to make 2 copies of this, so I'll have the one that's in black and then I'll fill all the patterns with my sunflower. So I'll duplicate that and just move it out of the way for now. And then this one, I want to fill in all the petals. Click contour on the bottom and then hide all contours. And you see that's now filled everything in. Under operation, change it to a print and cut, go into the color box and change the print type to pattern. I'm going to select my same sunflower pattern and edit it so that I can see more sunflowers in there. And then close that. I think it could probably go even smaller. It seems to be that it's showing more there than actually appear, but I might just be imagining that. Oh, that got bigger that time. Let's go down to 10. Maybe it's getting confused because I've got 2. Anyway, so there's that one. Then I can get this one back and go align, center, and then perhaps change this to more of a kind of matching color. Then I want to select both of those layers and press flatten to turn it into one print and cut image. And then this would make a lovely sticker that you could print or something to go on a greetings card. And if you want to change the color of that top layer at any time, you can just press unflatten to separate out the layers again, and then put it to whatever you want. Select them both and flatten again. You need to flatten them together, otherwise your layer on top will cut from a separate bit of cardstock to whatever you're printing on. Okay, so that is how to use the pattern fill feature, and now let's take a look at the other option, which is to upload your patterns or backgrounds as an image rather than using that pattern fill. So let's just go ahead and group these. I'll call it pattern fill and then hide it for now. This time we'll go into upload and then upload image. So this time just the normal upload image. Again, Design Space has changed recently, so you might not be quite used to seeing this screen, or you might not see this screen yet because the changes go out kind of gradually. So don't worry if yours looks a little different. I'm going to start by uploading the same image, the sunflower seamless pattern, just to show the differences between the two. I'll drag that in. It's going to take a little while. And for some reason, it looks a little bit buggy. I found that whenever I'm uploading a print and cut, the preview isn't changing on this screen. So don't worry if it just shows you this weird little grey bar. Press continue and it will be there just fine. You don't need to change anything on this page. Just press apply and continue. And then I want this to be a flat graphic. It used to say print and cut. Now it says flat graphic, but that's fine. That's what I want. Press continue. And then upload. Doing it this way means it will appear in your recent uploads, but also the new change to the upload process means that it will just automatically insert onto your canvas. And this has come in way too big, 25 inches. Let's just resize that a little smaller so that we can work with it. Now the difference with this is that we cannot edit the pattern. So whereas with the pattern fill, we could zoom out to show more sunflowers, we could rotate and it would stay in that original shape. We can't do that with this one. We're stuck with it just looking like this. You can use it by doing the same sort of thing. So I could still choose my heart and change it to a guide in the operations. That changes it so that it's now an outline. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's a little pink outline now. Then you can position it so that you can see through the bits you want to keep. You can then drag a box around both of them and press slice at the bottom of the layers panel, and that will cut out the outline. So I can delete that outline, and now I've got my heart shape and that bit which can be deleted. We can do the same thing with filling in the sunflowers. So I'll put this onto my project again and resize it smaller. And let's look for that same sunflower. And duplicate it so I can add the top. Contour out all the petals. And then change it to a guide. So remember, this time I am limited by the sunflowers only showing these particular ones, but I can still move this to show me the bits I like the best. You could resize if you want to too. Drag a box around both of them, slice them out, and then delete the layers we don't need. Then we're left with that. So now we can center that and bring the black one to the top, drag a box around both and flatten them. So we've ended up with the same kind of thing as we did with the pattern fill, only there are less customization options. However, one thing that uploading it is really beneficial for is if you're loading an image which is not seamless or not tileable. So we'll delete all this and start again. This time I'm going to upload one of the other types of images that I got from Creative Fabrica. So let's choose a random one of these. I'll go for that one. And then I need to follow the process through. I don't know why it's doing that. Just press continue and it should be there. Apply and continue. Continue. And then upload. Once again, it's come in really, really big, so I'll make that a little bit smaller. And then we can do the same thing with cutting out different shapes. I'll do a heart again. And now you can position it wherever you want it to go. And just like we did before, you can select both of those and slice. And then you've got your cutout. And you can just see a portion of that image now, and it's really nice. But you can also use this exact same thing for if you're making greetings cards or scrapbook pages and you're looking to have a particular background. So for example, let's say I was doing a greetings card. I'll make my card base of a 5x7 inch card. So that'll be 10 by 7. And we'll go for a purple. Give it a score line. That's the same height, 7 inches. Select both of those and go align, center to put the score line in the middle, and then attach them together so the Cricut knows where to score. I'll move this underneath my image. And then let's say I want to add my picture to the front. At the moment, this is going to be too big. If I make it like that, it's going to go over the side of my front because it's a landscape image to go on a portrait card. So I'll start by making a bit of a border for it, which I'll do 1 inch smaller on each side. So that will be 4 by 6, and that can go nicely in the middle. That's actually a little bit too small. 4.5 by 6.5. And make that a nice bright pink to match in with the pinks in the picture. Duplicate that one. I'll make it a different colour just so this next bit's easier to see. And go a little smaller, so 4.25 by 6.25. And then I'll need to make that a little bigger. Let's bring that to the front and then bring that one. Change it to a guide. And now choose the part of the image you want to have on your card. Select both those layers and slice. Delete what you don't need. And now you've cropped that into the perfect size to use on a greetings card. This doesn't work so well if you use the pattern fill option when you're using an image that doesn't repeat. To illustrate what I mean by that, let's go ahead and upload that same image. So this time I'm putting it in as a pattern fill, exactly the same steps that we followed at the beginning of this video. All right, so remember, it won't show my recent uploads. This is the one that I did manually a moment ago. Let's go back to my project and I'll make another rectangle the same size. All right, so this time I'll fill it in using that pattern fill just to show how it doesn't work quite as well for non-repeating images. So I'll change it to print and cut and then change it to a pattern. Choose that new pattern. And it's going to try and tile this even though the image isn't set up for tiling. So you can see what it's done. It's got the image there. And because that didn't fit my rectangle, it's then put the same image in multiple places, and it doesn't look very good. When you're using a seamless pattern like the sunflower, it works perfectly because they're specifically designed to blend into each other when it puts these bits next to each other. But if you're using a non-repeating image, it just doesn't work so well. And even if we edit this to zoom in a bit, it's still going to tile because my image is square, but I'm trying to put it in a rectangle. And likewise, if you make it smaller, it means you're just going to get more of them. And that's why, if it's a repeating pattern or a seamless pattern, using the pattern fill is definitely the better option. But if it's not a repeating image you're using, I think it's much better to upload it manually and then slice it into the shape that you want. So if we switch this back to the sunflower, you see that because it is a seamless image, no matter what we do, it looks beautiful and much better than having those random square blocks. So I hope that this video was helpful for you to see how to use the pattern fill option in Cricut Design Space, and also how to upload images manually instead, and when you might want to use each one depending on the type of graphic that you're using. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and come back soon for even more Cricut Design Space tutorials and card making fun. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!